First tonight, a company in Homewood taking a giant leap in a new partnership with NASA. A closer look at the one-of-a-kind tools they're developing for astronauts. Plus, we're just a few weeks away from the Star ID deadline, how Birmingham Airport is preparing, and their tips for travelers ahead of the transition. And we're talking with the attorney for two of the survivors of this week's deadly Smith Lake boat crash. The road to recovery as investigators continue to search for answers.
Live on your side. First at 9 starts with First Alert Weather.
With UFL on TV, we thank you for joining us for this digital edition of WBRC First at 9. Let's get to a lot of the stuff that we've got planned for you after we check in with meteorologist Tania Michelle, who has a look at that Easter forecast. Tania?
Hey, Steve, this Easter weekend looks great. If you enjoyed your Friday, the weekend looks slightly better as far as temperatures if you love the warmth. But for this evening, staying mild and dry, here's a quick look at our First Alert Sky Vision cameras. We're clear all across central Alabama. Oak Grove looking nice, Montevallo. We have Jacksonville State University out in Summerton. Clear skies all across the area with temperatures still mild in the 60s and 70s. 72 in Jefferson County, some low 60s up in Etowah County. But overnight tonight, it's really not going to feel too bad. We're still dealing with this warm southerly wind that's keeping us very mild in those overnight hours. Wind still a little breezy for some areas down southwest central Alabama. Could see a wind gust up to about 20 miles per hour, but nothing crazy. Tomorrow afternoon, another warm one. We're going to see more 80s in the forecast. We're talking about mid to upper 80s. You want to stay hydrated. Make sure you're wearing your sunscreen as you get ready for any of those Easter egg hunts that you might have. Now, Easter Sunday looks great. A little bit more cloud coverage around. Might see a passing shower, but otherwise mostly dry. Highs still in the low 80s for much of the area with winds continuing out of the south. Here's a quick look at those weather headlines. Number one, we have a mild and dry Friday night. Some weekend clouds, but again, mostly dry both Saturday and Sunday. Now, when can we expect that next rain chance? More unsettled weather is expected next week. We're talking about Monday through next Friday. That's when you're going to want that umbrella and that rain jacket. We're going to be tracking those rain chances even more coming up right here. Weather every 6 minutes.
Thanks, Tania. Alabama has a long history of helping astronauts get to space. Now a company from Homewood is continuing that tradition by creating a tool to help those same astronauts complete critical missions. Your reporter Brady Talbert got a closer look at this new NASA partnership that will address problems that are literally out of this world.
Yeah, that's right. Vista Engineering and Homewood isn't just shooting for the stars. They're working to help the brave men and women who work beside them. They were kind enough to give me a tour and let me see their prototype.
This project is exciting because it has the opportunity to be one of those things that pushes our mission in space forward.
They can put these under here.
The staff here at Vista Engineering aren't strangers to fixing problems. They do it all the time here on Earth, but they now have the chance to take that mission to new heights. The engineering company getting up to $850,000 from NASA to develop a new welding technique that can be used in space.
The astronauts in space can run up into various types of problems. For example, if something can break, hardware might fail, inside or outside the vehicle, and so being able to attach it back together. On Earth, we might weld it or glue it or bolt it together. So welding is the best technique because it gives you the most strength like the original product.
Phase 1 included creating this prototype. It's designed to weld pieces of composite together. The material is a plastic with carbon fibers that experts here say is 30 times stronger than steel.
We have our control system here, which has all the power supplies and the controls for the press and the welding unit.
However, laid out on this table, you can see this device is bulky. Phase 2 of the project is all about making it smaller.
We're going to compress all that into a machine that can be held by hand, that the astronauts can hold, take out on a space walk if needed.
Founder and CEO Raymond Thompson says one challenge is making sure the device can be used while astronauts are wearing thick gloves in space. They also plan to test how it will function in zero gravity. He hopes their efforts not only help scientists weld while in orbit, but someday manufacturers right here in Alabama.
Use this not just as a space tool, but use this as an Earth tool so that we can build planes, build better cars, build better structures here on Earth.
Engineers hope to have an updated device in about a year and a half, and if everything checks out, Thompson says their machine could be in space in the next 4 to 5 years.
Stand by.
Back to you.
Thanks, Brady. Also happening in Homewood, beginning on Monday, city personnel will be doing scheduled maintenance on the City Hall parking deck. This will impact your ability to park downtown over the next 3 months. The northern section of the lot will close for about 6 weeks, followed by the southern section for another 6 weeks. But you should be prepared for closures throughout the area at any time. Continuing coverage now of that fatal boat collision on Smith Lake this week. Tonight, the lawyer representing the survivors, Gary Holcomb and Luke Morgan, spoke with us. Attorney Ken Riley represents the men who survived Wednesday's crash during a professional fishing tournament. Riley says Holcomb's boat was not moving when it was struck, but the crash left him with extensive injuries, including a punctured lung. The families are holding on to hope as they begin the journey of recovery.
I'm pleased to report that although they both had very serious injuries, they are recovering. It's going to be a long road to recovery, but they're in good spirit, and their families are in good spirit.
Now, Riley says the families want to make sure that a tragedy like this does not happen again, and they will push for safety changes to protect others on the water. And tonight, one of the first people on the scene at Smith Lake describes the early moments of that investigation. The Cumberland County coroner says crews used sonar technology to find two of the bodies at the bottom of the lake. But he says boats speeding past the scene created waves that interrupted the rescue operation.
They will throttle down once they get real close to us, but at that point in time, it's almost too late. We're on a pontoon boat, and his wake, once it reached us, just about capsized the boat I was on.
Joey Broom, John Clark, and Jeffrey Little were killed in that boat crash on Wednesday. Aaliyah is still looking into exactly what led up to that collision. New details tonight. At least 3 former University of Alabama basketball players may be called to testify in an upcoming murder trial. Michael Davis is charged with shooting and killing Jamia Harris in January of 2023. Darius Miles also charged in that case. A current Charlotte Hornets forward Brandon Miller and his former UA teammates Jaden Bradley and Nick Pringle are all on the witness list in Davis's trial, which is scheduled for May 5th. We've also confirmed that prosecutors will not seek the death penalty in this case. A federal appeals court upholding a lower court ruling that the family of E.J. Bradford cannot hold a Hoover police officer, the city of Hoover, or the River Chase Galleria liable in his death. An investigation and Attorney General's report shows that Bradford, a licensed gun owner, had a gun in his hand following the shooting in the mall on Thanksgiving night in 2018. The report shows an officer shot and killed Bradford after seeing him with the gun. The AG ruling, though, that the shooting was justified and was not criminal. While the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals noted that Bradford's death was tragic, it said a lawsuit filed by his mother against the city, the police department, and the Galleria cannot move forward. More details tonight about a fire at a new veterans home that destroyed some residential areas. This fire happening at the Major Benny G. Adkins State Veterans Home, with about 90 residents being evacuated from the building. A majority of the veterans went to the Enterprise Health and Rehab Center, which is where they will be for the short term. Officials speaking about just how the community has helped after this fire.
The community support has been overwhelming. I just visited at the Enterprise Health and Rehab Center, and blankets, food, clothing, hygiene products have all been donated to an overwhelming level. We've had families in today. The Easter Bunny visited today, of course, with it being Good Friday.
Miller says the veterans will stay in the Health and Rehab Center until they have more of a long-term plan in place. Now the latest on that mass shooting at Florida State University, where we are learning that 6 people who were shot are expected to recover fully. 2 people were killed. Today, students and professors left flowers, candles, balloons, and teddy bears at a makeshift memorial.
It's horrible what everybody had to go through, and so I think it's important to just come by and, see the sense of unity that everybody has after such a horrible event happened.
The 20-year-old, whom police believe is responsible, is expected to face first-degree murder charges. He was shot by police and is recovering at a hospital. And tonight, we know the identities of the 2 people killed in that shooting. Robert Morales on your left and Tiru Chaba on your right. Morales worked as a dining coordinator for the school for almost a decade. Chaba was a husband and father from South Carolina who worked for a Philadelphia-based food service and facilities management company. Police don't believe there was any connection between the suspect and these victims. We are just a couple of weeks away from that STAR ID requirement being enforced at airports and federal buildings. Remember, under new security measures, you will need a real ID or a passport and driver's license in order to fly, even if you're not leaving the United States. Birmingham Airport Authority says they have been preparing for those changes to take effect May 7th, and they say you should be doing the same. Taylor Pollock has more on what you can expect when you head to the airport.
We have known this was coming for a very, very long time. Now, May 7th is right around the corner.
If you don't already have that gold star on your Alabama license, in less than a month, you may see some big changes in your next trip to the airport.
Travelers who do not have, who show up here without that compliant real ID may face additional screening. They're definitely going to face delays, and the truth is they may not be able to go through security.
Although TSA handles security, Kim Hunt with Birmingham's Airport Authority says they're bracing for how the change is going to impact them.
We will have our operations officers here, in the airport. We also have police officers who are patrolling the terminal all the time, so that if there's any sort of disruption or any issue that needs to be dealt with an upset passenger or something like that, we will have people here to handle it.
Hunt also cautions that even if you have your star ID or passport, you could expect to see delays if you're planning to fly out on or after May 7th.
Delays that are going to be caused by this potentially, unfortunately, can cause delays for everybody. If you're in line to go through the checkpoint and somebody shows up without that compliant ID, it could cause a delay for everyone.
Taylor Pollock with that story. And again, Kim Hunt with the Birmingham Airport recommends showing up 1.5 to 2 hours before your flight if you are flying on or after May 7th and you don't already have your star ID. You can learn about how to get one on our WBRC News app. Tania?
All righty, Steve, it's time to take a look at that super 7-day forecast, really breaking down the next couple of days here. I know many of you have Easter weekend plans, and that's what you're worried about, right? I know you see some clouds around, but that's pretty much it. We're not expecting a whole lot of wet weather. We're going to stay mostly dry both Saturday and for your Easter Sunday. Easter Sunday actually looks pretty great. I mean, as good as we can ask for, right? Yes, it might be a little cloudy, but overall temperature is still warming up. As we approach the early morning hours, we're seeing those 60s in the forecast by midday. Still going to see those 80s. And then we're seeing highs in the low 80s for your Sunday late afternoon. And then eventually throughout the later evening hours, temperatures dropping into the 70s. But very warm both days of the weekend. If you're looking for the day with more sunshine, that's going to be your Saturday. As we approach next week, though, that's when things kind of ramp up for us as far as those rain and storm chances. Let's talk about your Monday, giving you a first alert for some wet weather being possible, but also a storm that could produce some gusty winds, maybe even some hail. As far as a severe threat right now, we're not really seeing that, but there are severe storms that are setting up over the weekend to our west, and that's that same system that will be bringing us rain heading into early next week by the time we reach your Monday. So here we are Monday, late afternoon, just around 2 o'clock. You can see more widespread rain expected, some periods of heavy rainfall. It's going to be a messy commute coming home from work Monday, so you definitely want to make sure you plan for that. Early next week, have that umbrella and rain jacket, but you're not just going to need it Monday. You're going to need it throughout the rest of the week. Now, are we talking about a washout every day next week? No, more scattered showers and storms than anything. We bring in Tuesday, highs in the upper 70s, but as we look at Tuesday, still seeing the chance for some lingering moisture around. Looks like that system could try to stall across our area, bringing us some on and off rain chances, maybe a storm in the mix. So we'll hold a 50% chance for now. That means about half of the area could still see a chance for some rain. So keep that in mind. Again, not a washout. I still see breaks even as we go throughout the hours Tuesday, so that's good. So if you have plans, and it looks like Tuesday evening as of right now looks a little bit drier, but just note that there will be a chance for rain all throughout next week. We were really in a settled weather pattern this past week. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If not, you have time to enjoy the outdoors for the weekend. More rain expected until later next week. And as we approach Friday, well, really all of next week, it's going to be a lot more humid outside. So take a look at our muggy meter. The one thing that we've been dealing with over the last couple of days, yes, it's been warm, but it hasn't felt very sticky and humid just yet. With more moisture in the atmosphere next week, it will feel more humid, more summer-like, but for this weekend, we're still trending in that comfortable range as far as those dew points. There's a full look at that super 7-day forecast. We'll have more forecast updates after sports on WBRC.
Thanks, Tania. And thank you for joining us for this digital version of WBRC First at 9. Of course, you can always get the latest news and weather by downloading our WBRC News app. We're back on TV right after the UFL game, so we'll see you then.